Mile High Stadium, Supercross returns to Denver, Colorado for the final bow to a show-stopping season. Hello, everyone. Art Ekman along with David Bailey. The title has already been clinched. Jeremy McGrath has broken record after record, but the riders are all happy to be coming back to Denver, Colorado. And there's still some points races to be decided, David.
That's for sure. From 4th to 8th, only 9 points separating Ezra Lusk to LaRocco to Bradshaw to Phil Lawrence. So mathematically, even Lawrence could get up in there and finish 3rd in the series. And because the promoters and the AMA got together, this year there's a $100,000 points fund that will be divided up after the end of this race. So a lot of incentive to move up a couple spots.
The last episode in our Supercross series, Jeremy McGrath's streak of 13 consecutive wins came to an end. Jeff Emig winning.
Right, and you know what I saw from Emig there in St. Louis early in the day was a lot of confidence. He rode extremely aggressive all through practice, and it paid off in the end. I see that again here in Denver. The only difference is now he knows what it's like to win, and he knows that Jeremy can be beaten. The other riders do too. LaRocco snuck in there and passed Emig for the lead briefly. Also, Phil Lawrence rode extremely well till he went off the racetrack. And the other thing, too, is that Jeremy has already wrapped up the title. The streak is broken, and I wonder where his incentive is. A lot of guys could sneak in there and grab a win here tonight.
Some incentive might be his contract is up after this season, and we talked to him about his future.
I think I understand completely now what everyone goes through, like what Chicago Bulls were going through when they were trying to win their 70th game, you know, this season. It's something that you really can't understand unless you feel it. And I mean, at St. Louis, for me, the 14th race, I mean, it was unbelievable. There was so much hype going around, and up until 13 I was fine, and then 14 comes around, and just some days are better than others, and I think I just felt the pressure more that day. I really don't think I rode like me.
Jeremy, I was getting a rent-a-car one day, and they asked me why I was there, and I said Supercross, and the guy leaned across the counter and he said, "Was that the sport where that guy's winning all the time? What's his name?" Do you feel you've brought this sport to a new level, and how important was that streak to you?
Well, after the 7th race, you know, when I got the new record, I mean, it was great. I had never imagined on winning 13 races in a row. It's, you know, it's unbelievable. It's basically unheard of. And after the string kept going and going, I noticed that people in other areas were taking notice of the sport, and I'm really happy that I can be a part of the sport and help change it and help be the eye-opener for the sport, because I'd like to be remembered for a long time. I mean, I got another couple good years in me, and after that, I mean, I want people to remember me for someone who's changed the sport and brought it to new levels.
We're seeing a lot of NFL players, NBA players going back to get their college degrees. You're an imaginative guy. You're very curious. You like education. Have you ever thought about continuing your education?
Well, I always told myself when I first turned professional and first started riding for a living, and that I wanted to go to school. I wanted to finish, or actually start and finish college. But I mean, with what we do now, so much of racing, you just can't do it. But I wouldn't mind going back to school. Just depends what the future holds for me, really.
Jeremy, is Honda getting creative with their negotiations with you? And because Wes McCoy told me that he really wanted you to end your career as part of the Honda family.
Well, we're in negotiations right now, and I'm looking forward to Honda coming through with a good long contract for me. And as everyone knows, you know, I kind of want to try something different, and I'd like to try car racing. And since Honda's got the good motor program and the ends with the IndyCar stuff, and hopefully I can get into that somehow.
So Honda's a very important ingredient in that equation.
Well, as you know, with No Fear, I'm involved, and they're one of my sponsors, and they're very involved in racing, auto racing, any kind of racing. And if Honda ends up where they aren't able to do anything with the car racing, then I'm probably going to rely on No Fear to help me out with it.
I think it's obvious that Jeremy's going to have a lot of opportunities after racing. I mean, he's taken the sport to a whole new level, just like he says. He is the showtime guy in the sport, and it wouldn't surprise me to see him turn up in the entertainment business and show up on a show of Friends, maybe.
Sounds like a good idea. He'd fit right in. Marty Reed will join us trackside when we come back, as 250 qualifying will begin at that time. AMA Supercross. We're back at Mile High Stadium in Denver for round 15 of AMA Supercross. An unusual track tonight because the Broncos' insistence we stay off the playing field. David Bailey, we take a look at the Suzuki track map. It's the shortest start in the history of Supercross, I think.
The shortest I can remember. The only one I can think of that was that short was at the LA Coliseum, where also they had to stay off the grass. A lot of technical stuff right after the starting line, a whoop section, a lot of timing. Then the rest of it's pretty much the same as we've had always. A couple of triples, but before the finish line jump, a long whoop section. It's given the riders a lot of trouble because they're packed hard like cement.
A reminder to our new fans, the qualifying procedure for Supercross has riders running in one of two qualifying heats. The top 4 from each get their pick of the best gate positions, moving directly to the main event. The rest of the field moves on in one of 2 semifinals. Top 5 from each advance to the main event from the semis. Only one more opportunity to make money. That's the last chance qualifier, and only 2. The top 2 advance. Jeff Emig here in heat number 1. Puts on his goggles, ready to go as the 30-second board is up. Marty, let's go down to you quickly.
2 things on Jeff Emig. Notice the new attire, the black. He's out to become the intimidator after winning last time out. And also, we've got Jeremy Albrecht, his mechanic, wired tonight. We may be getting some good sound before the night's over.
Okay, Jeff Emig, Damon Bradshaw, Phil Lawrence, Brian Swank, Michael Craig, Greg Albertine, Buddy Antonez, some of the big names in 250 ranks in this particular opening qualifying heat from Denver, Colorado, and they're off. Emig, a great start. The man in black on the Kawasaki. He won the last race in St. Louis. Michael Craig, number 17, is right behind him. And then Phil Lawrence, number 13. 23 is Brian Swank of Honda of Troy.
Already, Emig got to a fantastic start, and he was smart to move over to the inside through that whoop section because he could feel Mike Craig creeping up the inside. He's doing it again right here.
Emig just shoots by Craig. Good strategy area.
Well, Craig made the right decision, but didn't pay off in the end. That rhythm section worked in the favor of Emig.
It's Emig heading for the first big triple. Michael Craig, Phil Lawrence, Swank.
Well, if he had a number 3 on his bike, he'd look like Dale Earnhardt.
Well, Emig with a great start, and it looked like he lined up about 3 gates to the left of the shack.
I noticed that Jeremy McGrath, he's in the next heat. He was checking out everything that those guys were doing. He'll probably line up in the same place. And once again, Phil Lawrence is on fire. Remember how good he looked in St. Louis at our last round. He's putting pressure on Emig now.
As they come off the tabletop, number 13, Phil Lawrence in second, with Brian Swank moving into third in front of his Honda of Troy teammate Michael Craig, who just makes the pass on Swank once again. It's Nathan Ramsey behind the 2 Honda of Troy riders. And then we go to Buddy Antonez.
Craig couldn't quite make it stick. What set that up was Swank made a little mistake in that timing section, but still paid off for him in the end.
There's Phil Lawrence, the top privateer in the outdoors last year.
You can see the different style of the guys in the corner just before that whoop section. Some guys elect to sit down and then stand back up for the whoops. Lawrence, tall and skinny, kind of lanky, he likes to stand up and get through there.
Boy, those end zone whoops look like cement as we go to the other whoops with Brian Swank on the dozen whoops on the far side. Here's our leader, Jeff Emig, number 2. Phil Lawrence behind him in second. It looks like Swank wants to give him a little tussle.
Well, actually, that lap, Lawrence lost a little time to Emig, and he went to the inside in this corner that we're looking at right here. Trying something a little different. That's where Emig was going, so he thought maybe he lost a little time there. He's going to try it out.
Remember, only the top 4 make it into the main event. Emig is clearly at number 1, Lawrence in number 2, Swank in number 3, and then a big gap. Our fight is for the bubble. Buddy Antonez coming up on Michael Craig. Here's Brian Swank in the number 3 position, going through the whoop section that we mentioned looked like cement and probably feels like it.
Definitely, you don't want to go and fall off right there. And you can see that battle for the on the bubble right there.
Here's the big chase right now for 4th. Michael Craig, Buddy Antonez, and a 125 rider, Nathan Ramsey, number 47.
He's actually caught these guys. Just behind him, you can see just a glimpse of Greg Albertine now is sneaking into the picture.
Number 16 on the Team Suzuki.
Albertine's been getting fantastic starts lately, but not here in this heat race. That might be because the starting line is so short, and he doesn't get over the gate as well.
Jeff Emig still holding a 2-second lead on Phil Lawrence out in front. Brian Swank, and then this battle for 4th. Craig, Buddy Antonez of the Great Western team, number 22.
That's quickly become a 4-way battle, too. You see them all head into that end zone whoop section. I can't believe these guys keep their feet on the pegs through there.
Okay,
dancing around.
We'll be right back to the race for the checkered flag in this qualifying heat right after these words. Welcome back to Mile High Stadium in Denver, Colorado. Jeff Emig, Phil Lawrence, 1 and 2, along with Brian Swank, number 3, here in our first qualifying heat. And Buddy Antunez has taken over the final qualifying position, number 4. And he just ran it into the inside of Mike Craig, got real aggressive. Nathan Ramsey has also gone around Craig, so Craig was something gone amiss because he's lost a lot of time. And while we were away, Greg Albertine went off the racetrack. So, well, this is the best qualifying round Buddy Antunez has had all year. He's had to go to the semifinals to make the main event. And his best finish of the year is a 10th place in the last race in St. Louis. Here's Jeff Emig, our leader, all in black. He still looks good. Everything he's doing, his timing is good. He's flat tracking around the corners a little bit, but Phil Lawrence has actually gained a little bit of time on him now. So and so is Brian Swank in third, David. Yeah, these guys are running the fast pace, and the track is pretty narrow. I think when you get into the main event, and everyone's in there together to pass, it's going to get physical. What about the altitude now? Will the 250s lose that much horsepower as they make adjustments on their machines? Well, they're going to lose a little. It'll be noticeable to the riders, but once you're out there in the race, you know, they've ridden here all day yesterday and all through practice today, they won't notice it much anymore. They try to increase the compression to make up for the thinner air. They try to maybe open up the air box, let more air get in there, recarburate it, and then what you end up with is a little less power. And some of the teams are using half regular unleaded and half race fuel because the higher octanes, well, they burn a little bit slower in the high altitude here. Here's number 13 in second place, Phil Lawrence, who's now dropped back a bit from Emig. This is pretty encouraging, though, I think, Art, for him to stay this close to Emig. You see the white flag right there. I mean, he's still within striking distance. Lawrence looking for a strong finish, and of course Emig looking for 2 wins in a row here tonight in the Supercross action. Well, this is the way it started off. He's going to get, depending on whether his heat race is the fastest between the two, he'll get first pick to the starting gate. And the start is so crucial. Starting to open up a little bit of space now on Lawrence. You can see just in that shot, Lawrence dropping off a little bit. He might feel some pressure from Swank. Entertaining the fans on the triple after the sweeper. And out of the near side stands, they're cheering for him. They want to see some action. He points over to him. A little bit slick out of there to do anything fancy. And with Lawrence not too far behind. You know, anytime you wear a different outfit, it's clearly different, and then you do this well, that's a good thing for your mind. There's the checkers, our qualifying heat winner, Jeff Emig. Right behind him, Phil Lawrence and Brian Swank. And it looks like Buddy Antunez will fill the final qualifying position in our first qualifying heat. Marty joins our winner when we return. Number 2, Jeff Emig taking his 7th heat victory of the season. Our second qualifying heat from Denver will get underway shortly. Those that are qualifying out of the opening heat along with Emig, Lawrence, Swank, and Antunez. Buddy Antunez, one of his finest results so far. Let's go down to Marty Reed. He's with Jeff Emig.
Hey guys, I tell you what, if we paint a 3 on this chest instead of a 2 with the black outfit, calling the Intimidator, a little Dale Earnhardt, obviously it worked. You look good out there. How easy was it?
Well, you know, the track's going to be a little bit more challenging, you know, than I think what a lot of what a lot of riders think it's going to be. You know, the whoops there are extremely hard, and they're, you know, and they're really, really slick. You know, so you have to keep a lot of momentum, you know, through the whoops.
What about that thin air? Are you having trouble breathing?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I feel all right, you know, but then again, we've only gone 8 laps. So, you know, ask me that question after the main, I might have a different answer. I don't know.
Well, we'll find out. He'll be in the main. Jeff Emig, your winner.
Oh, thank you, Marty. And a great crowd on hand here at Denver Mile High Stadium as they got a baseball game going underway not far down the road with 50,000. They really support their sports here in Denver, that's for sure. But it's a wonderful thrill for these riders to get back to Denver. Most of these riders are so young, they've never raced in Denver before. Right. Well, last thing I can remember was a national here out at Castle Rock. It was an old track kind of on the side of the hill, and that was in 1987, I believe. I was talking with Stanton earlier, and he thought that I may have raced here the last time. That's been a long time. Jeremy McGrath in heat number 2, getting ready. And as you mentioned, they watered down the track a little bit. It looks a little sticky, a little slippery in places, so they're going to have to be a little careful here in the second qualifying round. McGrath will be in the round along with Ezra Lusk, Mike LaRocco, Larry Ward, Jimmy Button, Kyle Lewis, Doug Henry, some of the notables in this second qualifying heat. McGrath's shaking out his goggles. A lot of these guys, you'll see him hang their goggles on the handlebars. You see him put them upside down, facing up. So if there's
little pebbles or debris that could sneak out from underneath the visor on your helmet. You don't get them dancing around in there because you won't know it until you take off and go off the first jump. That little pebble goes up in the air and you're like, oh boy, pretty soon that's going to be in my eye.
A great crowd looking on.
I was talking about Jeff Emig changing that outfit. There you get the eyes and McGrath. Those look pretty intimidating too. But that outfit of Emig's, you know, you change like that, it's noticeable for everybody, and then you go down in the first corner or something. Then you go back to the pits and you're like, should I keep wearing this thing? But everything's going good so far, and it's going to be a great battle between these two if they get out together.
Okay, they start revving the engines now. The 30-second board is not yet up. Skip Norfolk always giving some last-minute instructions. He kind of smiles at Jeremy, like Jeremy looking back and say, what are you going to say to me this time?
I don't know if we're going to be able to hear it.
30-second board up. We've got him mic'd, but evidently we're not picking him up. Or else he's...
You're inside, all right?
Something about the inside. Get that start and cut everybody off to the left of you. That's what I would do.
He's 4 bikes to the left of the starting gate, or the starting shack, as Stevenson, Ward, Button, and then McGrath. They're revving it up, and they're off. Second qualifying heat underway from Denver, and easy out in front, Jeremy McGrath. But look at Doug Henry, number 15. Doug Henry has battled Jeremy McGrath well this year.
Lusk and LaRocco also right up there. LaRocco starting to get off the line better these days. He's notorious for bad starts, but lately he's doing better.
Lusk comes off the tabletop going long, and he has the momentum. Can Henry hold on to second? Ezra Lusk, number 34 on the Team Suzuki. He is in third. Jeremy now off to a big lead, already showboating.
That section they just came through is always very deceiving. It looks like one rider's made the pass, but because of the rhythm, the guy that jumps the first set of doubles comes out ahead in the end.
Into the doubles now, into the whoop section in the end zone. It is McGrath. It is Henry.
Look at Lusk go through the whoop section. I haven't seen anybody go through there that fast yet. Kept it flat, wide open. It's slick, though. You hit one whoop wrong, and it all can change.
Here's third and fourth. Both Team Suzuki riders. Ezra Lusk, number 34. Mike LaRocco, number 8.
You know, I watched Jeremy in practice, and it didn't look like he was going through the whoop-de-doo section very good. And then I thought maybe that was a strategy because the air's thinner. These guys are going to get a little tired tonight. Why waste all your energy in practice trying to hammer through those every time?
Doug Henry, of course, coming back from the broken back and has done a magnificent job. He hasn't done as well as he would have wanted, but Team Yamaha is very happy with the way he's performed. Off the triple, Ezra Lusk and LaRocco right behind him in the top 4 positions. Only the top 4 can go on to the main. Larry Ward is currently in 5th. Let's get down to Marty Reed.
Well, guys, one of the things that you're noticing down here, the mechanics area. Oh, and Kyle Lewis is pulled off. Kyle Lewis is talking to his mechanic, Shane Drew. He has pulled off the race course. It looks like he has got a cramp in his left calf as he is pulling off to the side of the course. We are going to talk how crowded this mechanics area is. About 1/3 the normal size that we are used to. These guys are elbowing each other for space to be able to get their signboards out to their individual respective riders. I'll try and find out what happened to Kyle Lewis. We'll get back to you.
Well, it's not only high altitude, but it's also been very, very hot here in Denver, Colorado. Lots of cars during rush hour on Friday with vapor lock on the freeways. But it's obvious that you've got to hydrate your body in weather like this.
These guys will drink as much as they can, and to acclimate to this, it's just about impossible because you either need to come in at the last minute or you need to come in about a month before, and that just doesn't happen.
The word we have from Marty in the pits that his knee popped out, and he popped it back in, and he's about out on the course now.
Well, I think that should say something for the athleticism and the toughness of these guys to be able to. I don't even want to think about my knee popping out. I can't even feel that, and it hurts. Lusk starting to lose a little time.
Way out in front now as we look at Doug Henry, number 15, and the field is spread out quite a bit now as Jeremy with a good 4-second lead on Doug Henry. Our field summary: McGrath, Henry, Lusk, Rocco, and Ward is on the bubble. We'll be back with the finish of qualifying heat number 2 here at Mile High Stadium in Denver, Colorado after this. Welcome back to Denver. Art Ekman, David Bailey, and Marty Reed. Jeremy McGrath currently leading the second qualifying heat, but we're looking back at the bubble. At the 4th position, Mike LaRocco, and 5th, Larry Ward, Honda of Troy, number 6.
Larry Ward has caught LaRocco. Remember, LaRocco had a pretty good start. We didn't see Larry Ward really even in that picture. He's crept up in there now and is threatening LaRocco. Could send him to the semi if he pulls off something here in the last couple laps.
LaRocco really blitzed through those whoops. And left Ward behind in the whoops a little bit now as they go to the far side of the stadium.
That may be a setup that Suzuki's got, because I already mentioned how fast Lusk was getting through there as he just gets a face full of dirt from Henry accelerating on the back side of that double jump.
They go through the sweeper into the triple. Taking the corner, Doug Henry, number 15, Ezra Lusk, number 34. Can Ezra on the Team Suzuki catch up with the Team Yamaha rider? Ezra Lusk trying to end the season in a big way. He's had some good Supercross finishes toward the tail end of this season.
Well, I think you can catch him. He already has a little bit. And anytime you can catch a guy like that, get that close, then you force him to ride a little bit more defensive, take different lines. The question is, can he pass him? A lot of the guys have said it's tough to pass out there. It's kind of one line. They always say that, but the track here is a little narrower, so they may be right.
Well, both of them trying to wade through the lapper right now as Henry holds on. Lusk takes it wide to try to get some momentum going.
There's that rhythm section I talked about. Lusk goes wide, jumps that first double. If they're close enough, it looks like he makes the pass, but when they finally get out of that into the next corner, that stays the way it was.
Ezra's got quite a bit at stake, as we mentioned earlier, David. He still has a shot at third in the series. He needs a 10th or better and beat LaRocco to move up that high against the injured Ryan Hughes. As we've got the white flag, the final lap, Doug Henry still holding on to second place here in the second qualifying round.
Well, he's got pressure, too. Lusk is right there. Feet off the pegs. He's going for it.
Going through that slow double on the horseshoe before the tabletop. Here comes Ezra Lusk going wide, trying to get better momentum. Great battle underway as Jeremy McGrath doing knack-knacks, drawing raves from the crowd away from these two. Here's Jeremy.
Igniting the crowd. He laid it over so far. He showed everybody the drain plug over there, and as we broke away to go to Jeremy, Lusk got all out of shape. Didn't lose any time, though. He's trying everything.
Well, looks like Doug Henry will hold on a second as the checkers to Jeremy McGrath. Here comes a big battle. Ezra Lusk, he'll take second place just as it came out of our mouth, and Doug Henry a third. So Ezra Lusk really showing the competitiveness that he wants to take to the main event, pointing to the crowd, putting that one finger up into the crowd. He's going to have to try to beat Jeremy down the main. We'll be back in a moment. From Denver, Colorado, what action in the qualifying round as we see Ezra Lusk on the far side, number 34, against Doug Henry, takes second place away from him. Jeremy McGrath, our winner here in the second qualifying heat. 4 more riders have just qualified for the main event. Here they are, McGrath, Lusk, Henry, and LaRocco. Let's go down to Marty Reed.
All right, guys, got Jeremy McGrath right here, and boy, I'll tell you what, we always talk about how important starts are, and this one was no different.
Yeah, this track tonight's a little bit narrow. I think they got some soccer going on in about 10 days, so it's just one of those things. The track's probably not at its full potential, but I mean, you have to get a start, that's for sure, and my Honda's probably going to do it for me tonight.
How much greasier is this going to get? How much slicker? Because it looks like it's drying out pretty fast.
Actually, we got a lot of dry air out here right now, and it's, you know, it's warm and humid. They watered the best they could, but it's kind of like the dirt we have in Vegas. You know, if you water it too much, it's going to be muddy. If you don't water enough, it's going to be dusty. So hopefully they can find the fine line.
Well, we're going to find out. We'll know what changes right before the start of the race. Remember, we got his mechanic wired, and we might get the secret inside scoop. See you in the main.
Thanks.
Thanks, Marty. Well, some of our most exciting bar banging of the year has come in the semifinals. The action in a moment.
In our Honda flashback, we usually take you back a year or more. Since we've never raced here in Denver, we decided to flash back to the most memorable race of the year in St. Louis. Jeff Emig, who won his heat race, got the whole shot in the main, tucked it around the inside, and Jeremy McGrath was mid-pack. Phil Lawrence, Mike LaRocco, and Ezra Lusk were up front to watch Jeremy and Lusk right here. They get together. Lusk gets the short end of the stick. And by the midway point, it was still Jeff Emig out front, getting pressure from LaRocco. Watch LaRocco right here. Does a nice job to save it. LaRocco had actually moved around Emig into the lead briefly, but Emig got him right back, and then LaRocco gave Jeremy all he could handle. And although Jeremy pressured Emig, Emig never cracked, and went on to win his first Supercross of the season, stopping McGrath's streak at 13.
A historic moment. St. Louis, a first-time venue in history right there.
can't win them all. He sure tried. LaRocco got in there and dished him up a little block pass towards the end of that race, kind of threw him off. I think he thought he had enough time to get around Emig, but not once that happened. Good for LaRocco, though. I'm glad to see him get in there and get physical like that. It charged him up, got the crowd into it, and he had a shot to win that.
32nd board is up. We're also at a first-time venue right here at Mile High Stadium in Denver, Colorado. This is semifinal number 2. You see, Michael Craig did not make it to the main event. He's in this semifinal. Marty.
Well, one of the things, he had a very bad section through the rhythm section near the end of that race. It knocked him out of any contention. And I don't know if it was fatigue or not, but the one thing he doesn't want to do, none of these guys, they don't want to have to go to that LCQ because it's thin air.
This is semifinal number 1. I understand I said 2, and they're off. Michael Craig, a great start. The Honda of Troy rider, number 17, starts out in number 1 position.
You can see right before the start, he cut the sleeves completely up his fore. It looks like he's riding a short sleeve shirt. Trying to get that nice, any kind of air he can. Look at Albertine just out of the back of your screen there. Got together with somebody else on a jump. That's the same section he had problems in the heat race. He went off the racetrack.
All right, behind Michael Craig, we've got Nathan Ramsey, a 125 rider, and number 44.
That was the little altercation that I believe Albertine had with Jeff Head, and they got together, so Albertine got away clean.
So Ramsey's in 2nd place now. And John Sebastian Roy out of Canada in 3rd, number 44. That's 47 Ramsey going through the whoops.
You see how hard it is for him to try to keep his balance through there. Start to lean off a little bit to the right. Once you have to let off the throttle a little bit, regain your balance and your line, it's really tough to make that momentum back up.
So Albertine's got a long way to go as we take a look at it 2nd and 3rd right now here in the semifinal round.
I don't know what's better for Albertine, to expend all the energy and take those big chances to try to qualify out of this, or just play it safe and go to the last chance, because he's got a long way to go.
All year, this young man has been banging in the 125 wars, but it's a good chance with the last race of the season to get some experience on the 250s on a technical Supercross track.
That sure is, and he looks good on the 250. He came out of that corner, wheelied slightly before the first bump in that whoop section, trying to keep that bike flat through there. It worked a little bit better than it did on the first lap. Some of these guys ride better on 250s than they do on 125s, but it's tougher for them to make the main in the 250 class. So
Albertine is now up to 9th, David, as we see Michael Craig leading the first semifinal round, number 17, with Nathan Ramsey, 47, starting to make a move on him. 44 is Roy, and 18 is Todd DeHoop out of Michigan.
Number 111 just coming by, Jeremy Buell. There's a look at Albertine going wide.
He's into 8th position now. Jason
McCormick there, number 41. Usually rides the 125 as well. Albertine just cutting it close everywhere, running to the hay bales there. He needs to settle down. The guy's fast, no question about that, but just consistency has been a little bit of a problem. He's working on it. He'll get there.
Here in the semifinal round, the top 5 riders make it to the main event. So Albertine's at least trying to get into 5th position now.
The way he's moving up, you can see that whole cluster of riders right. Oh, off the track again, right in the mechanics area.
A dangerous area right there.
He's going to run over Marty Reed if he's not careful.
Well, you know, Skip Norfolk was talking about the riders are coming so close in there, and the quarters are so tight for the mechanics. Somebody's going to hit a pit board. But now, of course, Albertine realizes it's over. He'll have to go to the last chance qualifier.
Well, it sounds now a little bit like a heavy ESP, doesn't it? I was just saying, why take the risk? And you saw what happened. He was trying to take that risk, move by some guys off the track almost twice, but definitely looks like the LCQ now. He's going to be tired come main event.
Our leader, Michael Craig, number 17, over the finish line jump. And here's a replay of Albertine going into the mechanics area. Lost control.
Well, they're so slick that if you start to lean one way or the other, you lose traction. He was leaning to the inside. The back end swung out to the right. He had no choice. He was lucky he didn't crash.
Back live with our leader, Michael Craig, number 17. Craig's had an interesting career. He kind of got started late in Supercross. Opened some eyes for a while, got a chance with Team Yamaha, really didn't take advantage of that chance, and now has been a star on Honda of Troy's team.
He looks good. He's still got a good future. He's a good showman. He knows how to throw it sideways. He's good at jumping. He's pretty daring. He'll be the first guy a lot of times to jump something pretty tricky.
He was the first about 3 years ago to say, hey, Jeremy McGrath can be beat, and he beat him.
has to be a memorable one for him. It was on a hard-packed racetrack in Tampa, Florida, almost like this one, that same hard-packed soil. That's when he goes fast.
Okay, the white flag lap. This is the final lap. As you saw our field summary, Jeremy Buell, who usually competes in 125s, is on that bubble in the 5th position. He's got a chance to go directly to the main without going to the LCQ. And with a short, stubby start like we have tonight, hey, a bad gate position can completely put you out.
Yeah, it sure could. If you get too far to the inside or the outside, you just got to park it and go into the first corner and take what's left. Look at that, can.
Can, yeah.
You know, I'd rather do a knack than one of those. If you don't get your foot back over, that's bad news. I don't know. I think I'd rather go for the knack.
You've never landed with your knee on the seat, is that it? Michael Craig taking our semifinal round, and we'll be back with the official qualifiers out of this round in a moment. Supercross in Denver, Colorado. Michael Craig, our winner in the first semifinal round, and he's joined by these 4 other riders headed for tonight's main event. Let's go down to Marty Reed.
All right, thanks, guys. We are here with a slightly winded Mike Craig. We talked about right before the start of the race, the one thing you didn't want to have to do is go to that LCQ simply because of the thin air.
Yeah, I haven't had to go into the LCQ yet, and it's just another race I don't need, but I'm glad I got the race this because my heat race, I was not good at all. I got behind Emig and I rode horrible. And I sat back and said, okay, let's go in that next race, try to pick it up a little bit and get ready for the main. Yeah, it's okay if you say you rode like an egg beater through there, but if I say it, you might want to take a swing at me. No, I just felt not that good. My bike was great, Honda Troy, but track's slick, hard. See, I'm breathing kind of hard. It's tough here. Well, I'll tell you what, he whipped up a souffle here in the first semi instead of that old egg beater back in the first heat.
It's his second. He's got 2 heat wins and 1 semi win this year. Look at there, Larry Ward's mechanic. A new do.
Well, I don't know if you can call that a do or not.
Sean Persinger. I wonder if he lost a bet similar to what Mike Brown's mechanic at Honda of Troy did. You know, Jeff Nutter last year bet his rider Mike Brown that if he won an outdoor, he would shave his head. And we had quite a ceremony after Mike Brown won in Washougal. And Marty, what's the scene down there?
Well, interestingly enough, after that happened, Sean told me, he said, hey, you know, it was actually quite comfortable through the summer. So when I saw him today, I said, did you lose another bet? And he said, no, I'm just getting ready for summertime.
All right. That's a good way to do it here tonight because it is hot and sticky here in Denver, Colorado. Michael Craig taking the advantage as we get ready for our second semifinal round with Larry Ward, as you saw, Jimmy Button. There's Kyle Lewis, who had a knee problem in the first qualifying round for him. Denny Stevenson also will be joining him. Denny Stevenson, number 24. And this, I understand, is his last Supercross race before he retires.
The 125 East Coast.
In the Ultracross and then Arena Cross action.
And it was a 125 East Coast champion, I think, in 1990.
And then he had many injuries while with Team Suzuki. And it was a real tough situation for Denny because he just lost his momentum. 30-second board is up for our second round of semifinal action. Let's go down to Marty Reed quickly.
Well, just a quick update on that knee. Kyle Lewis, I talked to their mechanic. He says he's okay. It's a little sore, but he's okay to go.
Incidentally, an update on Mike Brown. You remember he broke his arm. He is about 40% back now. He's shooting for High Point on the National Outdoor Circuit to get back into action. They're not sure he can make it by High Point, though, but he's mountain biking and he's trying to get himself back into shape. Okay, it's on sideways now. 5-10 seconds, and the gate now is dropped. Jimmy Button, a good start, number 100. Team Extreme out in front as they head into that first whoop section with number 24, Denny Stevenson, bar to bar with Button. Stevenson on the inside in the Twin Peaks now as they roll over. Larry Ward cutting to the inside, but it is still Stevenson out on top off the tabletop.
Well, some of the bigger names you would expect to run up front all got good starts. You got Stevenson, Button, Lewis, Larry Ward right there, all 1, 2, 3, 4. Can't believe Lewis is still out there, Art. I don't know about you, but dislocating my knee and popping it back in and going back out there. And if you saw before he left the starting line, on the back of his pants it said lucky. I don't know how lucky that is.
And look at the move he made on his former teammate Larry Ward, jumping into third over Ward.
And for Stevenson's last race, he's pulling it all out. He's got pressure from Button, but Stevenson's quick in a short race like this. In the main event, 20 laps, it's a long time, and he tends to fade just a little bit, but in these shorter races, he's as tough as they come.
The top 5, remember, going out of the semifinal rounds all the way to the main event, as we see Stevenson and Jimmy Button 1 and 2. Very close action right now. Kyle Lewis and Larry Ward 3 and 4, and number 962 Sandell is in the 5th position as the change of venue might come about here. Out in front, Stevenson being challenged by Jimmy Button. Button racing in Europe all last year after failing to get a factory ride in last year's action. Decided he wanted to come back home and try it with Team Extreme as they blitz through the whoops in the end zone. Through the finish line jump. Over the little surfer breaker right there. Bar to bar. Jimmy Button on the inside. He's on the whoops and's got the advantage on Denny Stevenson as they roll over the Twin Peaks now and cut now to a nice timing section onto the tabletop and off.
I was thinking about that as they went over the finish line jump. I go, you know, if I were Button, I'd cut to the inside of this whoop section. If we get up alongside, he's made the pass. He made the right decision, cut to the inside, and he was all over Stevenson. I don't think Stevenson liked that pressure very much. Now he's got it from Lewis.
One of the reasons Stevenson is not having such a good time of it this year is a very sore wrist. It is swollen, and there's not much he can do about it. He has to cut the rubber grip on the handlebar to fit his thumb a certain way so that he can use the brake.
Larry Ward also does that. He cuts a little notch in it.
What a battle now for second.
So now Stevenson started to drop back a little bit. Looked good for a while, didn't it?
Yes, it did. Kyle Lewis, number 11, and Larry Ward along with Stevenson.
I think he realizes that only the top 5 are going to go to the main event, so why not just play it smart, learn as much as I can, save my energy for the main.
We'll take a quick break and come back when the race for the checkers is on here in the semifinal round. Jimmy Button has the lead here in Denver, Colorado, semifinal number 2. 5 riders making it out and closing the gap on Kyle Lewis. Now is Larry Ward. So it's Button, Stevenson, Lewis. No, that's the second in place right there. Lewis coming up on Jimmy Button.
Lewis is fast to that whoop section there after the finish line jump. You can see it on the camera. He gobbled up probably 5 or 10 bike lengths. He's feeling the pressure from Ward, and they're both closing up on Button, so this could come down to the wire, especially with that whoop section right before the finish.
Jimmy Button into the triple. Kyle Lewis in second place. Larry Ward in third. As we review it, Denny Stevenson is in fourth.
Great shot of him coming over the triple jump. These guys are flying 70 feet. Doesn't look like it, but it sure feels like it when you're out there.
It's Cliff Palmer in the number 5th position now as we see Lewis fly by. Look at that. You are faster. Take him, he says.
That's a good thing to see. And your mechanic's going, you're faster. What are you doing? Pass this guy. And you go, yeah, that's a good idea.
Well, Larry Ward getting the slow start on the season, coming out of it with an injured thumb, injured wrist, out of the European season, and never really got out of the tracks.
Lewis trying to go tight right there, see if that option pays off in the end. He got some lapped riders there. Messed up Button just a little bit.
Coming into the second triple now alongside the crowd. It is Jimmy Button and Kyle Lewis. Jimmy Button holding on to the lead as they head into the double right before the end zone whoop section. It'll be a white flag flying, and then the checkers. Jimmy Button, the checkered flag. Kyle Lewis close. Right on his bumper.
That was real close. Lewis had the right idea, go down the inside. Try to force Button into a mistake, but he didn't crack.
We'll be back with the official top 5 listing out of our semifinal round when we return. Art Ekman, David Bailey, along with Marty Reed, and here's how it ended. Very, very close with Kyle Lewis on the inside coming through the whoops, but Jimmy Button did not falter for his 3rd semifinal win of the year, taking the checkers. Let's go down to Marty Reed.
I'll tell you what, Art, right before the start of tonight's race, I asked him, I said, what don't you like about this track? Is this too tough to pass out here? You still think that?
Yeah, actually I do. In the first heat, I got a good start behind Jeremy. I went into the second corner. We had something on the rear disc, and I went straight to the second corner. I had to work really hard, but I was able to make some passes out there. And then in that semi just now, at least I was able to come away with the main. I was trying to, go a little slow towards the end, try to save some energy. The altitude here, makes you a little bit winded a little bit quickly. So just trying to save a little energy. Kyle caught up to me a little bit more than I thought, but it's a good win for the PJ1 Extreme Yamaha.
What changes will you guys have to make to the bike because it's getting slicker out there all the time?
Well, we're running a special compound Bridgestone tire out there that's working really good. I believe me and Jeff Emig are using it, and it's working absolutely perfect. I couldn't ask for any more traction out of my tire. So hopefully, you know, just go out there, try to get a good start in the main, and hopefully we'll be up here at the end of the night.
Jimmy Button, your winner here in the semi number 2.
Okay, and he is joined in the main event with Kyle Lewis, Larry Ward, Denny Stevenson, and Cliff Palmer taking that number 5 spot. It's time now for a Suzuki riding tip.
Most young motocrossers start out their career on 80cc mini bikes, but their parents aren't quite sure when to move their young rider up to a bigger motorcycle. Hi, I'm Pat Alexander, Team Suzuki's Motocross Support Supervisor, with today's Suzuki riding tip. There are 3 indicators that may help you judge when your rider is ready to move up to a bigger motorcycle. First, look at the rider's height. How does your rider fit on the machine? Is the reach of the bars comfortable? Or are your rider's knees and elbows bent at an awkward angle? If the rider looks too big for the bike, he or she may well be. Second, consider the rider's weight. When the rider is too heavy for the machine, overall performance will suffer. Third, evaluate the rider's skill level. Is he or she consistently winning their class? This is a sure indicator that the rider is ready to move up for a new challenge. But if the rider is the right size for an 80, don't be in a big hurry to move them up to a bigger motorcycle. Try entering the rider in a more advanced class. Finally, when your rider moves up to a bigger motorcycle, remember to be patient as they learn to ride with the different power and weight of this new motorcycle. For Team Suzuki, I'm Pat Alexander.
Welcome back to Denver, Colorado. Art Ekman, David Bailey, and Marty Reed as we look forward to the 125 Western Division final race of the year. They are on the track. Number 38, Kevin Windham, having the great chance to win his first Supercross title. As we take a look at the Suzuki starting grid, you'll notice Windham, Dobb, Holland, Casey Johnson, Ashkenazi, Gonzalez, Willow, Lytle, and Chad Pedersen, just some of the outstanding names that we'll see battling it out that probably will be up out front. Now, while we were away, you know, these riders have had to battle the heat and humidity this afternoon here in Denver, but we have had tremendous gusts of wind come through the open side of the stadium. In fact, the finish line jump banner looked like a spinnaker in sail racing. Marty Reed was down there, had to avoid several things, including, I don't see how you could get out of the dust.
Well, you couldn't, Art. In fact, it's already picking up again. We had several dust devils down around here. You can see the riders coming in. Let me show you what the problem really is. You come through this rhythm section, there's a wall with the grandstand that protects you. But as you come out of it, heading for the finish line jump, that's when you're going to get smacked with the wind. And if it gusts, and it was up to like 30, 35 miles an hour, then it's going to blow you over. Now, the wind has forced them to take down the finish line banner. As you can see, the line is actually bowing over, and those are PCV pipes. That's plastic, but it was on the verge of literally coming over. Excuse me if I'm squinting a little too much, but the dust is really starting to get bad down here.
Get some of those goggles down there. You can see the dust just flying back behind Marty Reed as we get set for the 125 main event. There's Dobb. It would take a slight miracle for him to win the championship.
Anything can happen now.
Yes, and that's what he feels. He just wants to win his first Supercross.
In the East, Dow didn't even make the main event. Changed the championship points race back there completely. But he sure looked good in his heat race, already got the whole shot. He's going to need that here. I'd sure like to see him get out and run with Emig. I mean, he can't win the title, at least make it last race. Real excited, get in there and battle it.
There's Kevin Windham. Allie's mechanic got to have glasses on right now, the way that wind is whipping down there. Many of the riders put on goggles early.
Some of the mechanics even were wearing goggles, Art.
Looking forward, of course, to clinching the title. If Dobb should win this race, all he needs is a 14th place finish, 8 points to capture the 125 West Crown. The 30-second board is up, as you see there. And these young riders all looking for future stardom in the 250 ranks, gunning to make an impression here with the 125s. Windham once again starting 4 spots off the shack on the inside.
Rusty Holland right there on almost on the far inside. Casey Johnson with the far inside slot. He's got to get an incredible jump out of the gate to have any kind of a prayer in that first corner.
Forward sideways. It could drop any minute. Any second it does. Wyndham with a good jump along with Casey Johnson on the inside. Casey Johnson, number 58. Kevin Wyndham, number 38. Ashkenazi in third place right now with Holland along with Willow. And they get jammed up in that corner. Coming out of it is Casey Johnson, who had such an impressive ride in Texas. Wyndham right behind him, though. 147 is Pedro Gonzalez now in third with Ashkenazi in fourth.
An incredible start, Art, for Casey Johnson. I just pointed out he's on the far inside. Everybody that's done that so far tonight has gotten squeezed out in the first corner. He had just enough, gave Wyndham an elbow, now he's got the lead.
Casey Johnson with a second place finish in Dallas as we go back to third and fourth. You see it there, Pedro Gonzalez and Ashkenazi. Ashkenazi's quite a story. He came out of Australia, the former national champion, and with about 250 bucks in his pocket, went to the first 125 race in a pickup truck. His girlfriend was his mechanic. Well, he made an impression, and Primal Honda's picked him up, and he is battling, and he is getting in front of Kevin Wyndham into second place.
It's a great pass. Looked like Wyndham got him back, though. He wasn't able to do that double jump. Here comes Ashkenazi on Gonzalez now, but you know, Casey Johnson is opening up a pretty good lead, and I have to think back to when he had that good run in Dallas. It was hard-packed surface just like this. That leads me to believe he likes it hard and slick.
He has a 3-second lead as we take a look at Gonzalez, the former Mexican champion, 147.
That hard-packed slick stuff in Dallas is really what gave Wyndham so much trouble. The way it looks so far, he's losing time to Casey Johnson. Getting pressure from the second, third, and fourth riders, rather. Gonzalez and Ashkenazi keeping
Casey
Wyndham on.
Johnson, Wyndham, Gonzalez, Ashkenazi, and Nelson now moving in there in the top 5.
You can see the wind blowing across the track. That's another section of the stadium that's opened up, as Marty pointed out. Every time you go up in the air, it's very difficult to keep control of the motorcycle, so you kind of aim into the wind on the takeoff so you can land straight.
Wyndham's picked up a half-second on the first-place rider, Casey Johnson, and you can see how bad the weather is down on the track. Here's Ashkenazi trying to make a move on Pedro Gonzalez.
The wind is really difficult to ride in. The longer you get through the air, especially on those triples, that's a total crosswind for these guys. Before they enter the whoops to the finish line, it's blowing the front end out from underneath them.
Ali Semar, Wyndham's mechanic, is Wyndham making a move on Johnson, closing that gap, going around the very slow Twin Peak rounders before coming off the tabletop. Wyndham picks up speed in certain portions of the track, that's for sure. As we go into the sweeper, Casey Johnson into the triple. And we've got a battle on our hands here coming up.
I think so. It's going to get good. Casey Johnson is pretty physical. He's not going to let Wyndham by. He's going to have to earn it. It's a narrow racetrack.
Pedro Gonzalez is only 3 seconds back of the leader in third. There's Ali with the signboard. Relax. Don't forget to breathe. That seems fundamental, but in racing sometimes you do forget to breathe. You hold your breath.
You do, especially here in Denver.
Here comes Wyndham. Wyndham's got the lapper on the outside. He couldn't take a different line against Casey Johnson.
Big swap through there.
Oh, my goodness.
Started to lose the back end. It hit one bump, swapped all the way back to the left to get a good job to hang on to it. Didn't lose any time at all.
Ali.
The mechanic's trying to figure out, what do I put on that chalkboard?
That's got to be nerves right there, because you really have no control. You can just sit there and encourage your rider. Number 38, Kevin Wyndham, looking to cap a tremendous season off by moving into first place and winning.
There he comes up the inside of the whoop section. That's a good... Casey Lytle leaves the door wide open through there, but he's getting through there quick enough to hold him off.
Dobb is in 15th place. So there's really no chance, and Wyndham moves into first place. Look at Casey Johnson. He's not willing to give up, though. Wyndham hops in there as the crowd goes bananas.
Looks like Johnson's got him back for the moment. Wyndham's got the inside, cuts him off completely.
Oh, good block. Very good block as Kevin Windham has moved into first place. Let's go down to Marty Reed.
A very interested Ali Seymour down here. Your man's just moved into first place. How much does this wind have an effect on this race?
It doesn't really. He's just got to ride smooth and be cautious. But he wants to win. He wants to try to win.
He's got to get over to get his sign up for this time. He's coming through for this lap. I got to tell you guys, it may not be affecting them. It's affecting us.
Oh, look at him just blaze through the end zone whoops as he goes over the finish line jump. Windham winning the first three races of the year, then was injured, sat out San Diego with a broken collarbone, but then came back in the next race, won Houston, took a third in Dallas after the hole shot, and won the last race in St. Louis.
Well, what happened on that last lap, there you see third and fourth, Ashkenazi and Gonzalez. Those guys stayed close. All that block passing between Johnson and Windham for the lead allowed those guys to stay in touch with the leaders. They're starting to lose a little time now.
Ashkenazi 8:38 there on the red machine. It's still close for first and second, though. Windham trying to pull away. Let's see him if he can blitz these whoops again.
As he goes through there, whatever he puts on the chalkboard, Casey Johnson can read it too.
Look at Casey Johnson. This is a very, very impressive race. It looks like it might come right down to the wire. Windham, Johnson, Ashkenazi, Gonzalez, Amanum, and down goes Casey Johnson, number 58. Ashkenazi passes him. He doesn't let Pedro Gonzalez, though, get in front of him, so he pops up in third. Now he's in fourth. Probably his bike is a little jammed.
Well, when you fall over like that in this hard-packed soil, he could have bent the clutch lever a little bit, and these guys use the clutch so much, especially here in Denver. We already brought up the fact that these bikes don't make the same horsepower at altitude, and the 125, it's amplified even more.
So that truly takes the heat off of Kendon Windham now as he will enter the whoops, and we'll be back with the run to the checkers and the 125 main from Denver, Colorado, right after this. Welcome back to the 125 main out of Mile High Stadium in Denver, Colorado. Kevin Windham looking to lock up the 125 Western Crown, has a sizable lead here in the main event. After a great battle with Casey Johnson, Johnson going down. Also, Chad Pedersen went off the track. So if you don't hear his name up near the front runners, that is why. Number 21 going off the track. Dobb is only in 13th place right now, number 19. Something wrong right now as his bike is slowed down. James Dobb, second in the series. And it looks like Kevin Windham pretty much has it in the bag now.
Yeah, the title's going to be his. I can't really see what's wrong. He's holding his right leg up kind of funny. You can see the frustration as he went over one of those jumps back there. He kind of made a gesture with his head like, oh, maybe he lost a foot peg. He's got his foot on the engine cases.
It's got to be tremendously frustrating, David, for him because he wanted to go out of this season in grand style.
Yeah, he's missing a foot peg. That's frustrating.
It was Dobb who does not have a job after this race. He turns into a privateer for the outdoor season as his temporary ride for Team Suzuki is over. He, of course, subbing for Craig Decker for the season. Decker injured, unable to run, but Dobb now says he's going to be more like a businessman on the phone. As we go to the Honda stopwatch, here's our leader, Kevin Windham, going through the screen. Ashkenazi, about a 5-1.
Yeah, just a little under 5 seconds, I think, for now, but he's actually stayed about the same for the last 3 laps. So when they get into lap riders, when they get into the end, and typically a leader starts to savor that lead a little bit, think a little bit about the checkered flag, second place can make up some time. As you see Dobb now riding back to the pits.
Dobb goes to the pits. Let's go to Marty Reed.
Yeah, guys, it is a broken right foot peg. He can't get his balance. He's out of this race. The championship is settled.
Number 38 as we take a look at the lap time now as Kevin Windham comes around.
Looks like Windham's riding really slow right now, but the track is so slick, you've got to ride like that. Just under 52 seconds. See him steal a glance over to Ashkenazi coming into that corner. All he wants to do is make sure he's got the same lead, and he'll continue to ride conservatively.
Ashkenazi, truly a hungry rider looking for some factory assistance for next year. He took a second place in San Diego for his best performance of the year. You know, it's a dream of every rider to win the #1 plate. And that's what Kevin Windham is looking forward to right now.
Title means a lot. You know, this is what I've always worked for as a rider. You know, just every rider's goal is to you know, win a #1 plate. Hopefully I can do it this weekend. It's been a great year. You know, East-West combined. It's just all around been some great racing. And
all the pieces seeming to fit together now for Kevin Windham.
Working out good. Look the way he goes around that corner. Doesn't even sit down. Feet on the pegs. Excellent balance. Excellent throttle control. On the face of that triple, you can see him squat all the way down to the motorcycle, soak up that takeoff so he can keep the bike low like we see McGrath doing the 250 class.
Well, you think we might see some heel clickers on this one?
I think we'll probably see several of those. The crowd likes it, and he's a good showman. Gonzalez and Casey Johnson now starting to go at it. Casey Johnson going down. No doubt he may have bent the clutch lever, maybe the handlebars a little bit, but he's gotten it back together.
Pedro Gonzalez, number 147, but here's Ashkenazi, number 838, in second place. Casey Johnson has moved in front of Gonzalez, who looks for third, and a block pass by Gonzalez. Casey Johnson almost slipped it on the inside.
Finally gets around, though. You can see the rider down as they went through. That kind of threw off their timing a little bit through that section because yellow flags are waving everywhere. Gonzalez playing it a little safe. Gotta wonder what would have happened had Casey Johnson not gone down. It looked as though that Windham pretty much was in control, but Johnson was starting to put the pressure on. He's done it before, passed him and beat him like that in Dallas.
Nelson was the down rider. White flag, final lap now for Kevin Windham. The battle rages on behind him, but Kevin, what a victory lap this will be.
And we're definitely going to see some heel clippers. Gonzalez has gone down. You know, the wind is, we heard Ali Seymour say he didn't really think it was going to affect the riders out there, the wind, but I believe it does. It really throws your timing off. The breeze flying across the track. Here comes the triple.
Kevin pretty much breezing through it.
No chances. Doesn't want to take any chance on this last lap. It's his first big title.
Checkered flag. Kevin Windham, the heel clicker. Oh, my goodness, on the finish line jump. Oh, it would have taken with a little gust of wind right there, and he'd have ended up, well, way off the track, that's for sure.
I wouldn't have guessed he'd have done it there.
Well, after an outstanding showing at Glen Helen, his first overall on the outdoor national circuit, his first moto win as well. There's Ali Seymour with the #1 jersey. And they're going to take a victory lap on this one. What a tremendous thrill for this youngster out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
And Seymour just takes over the controls. Now, Seymour, for most of you who don't know, he used to race. I raced against Ali Seymour. Now a happy mechanic for a kid with a lot of potential, and he's showing us what he's made of already.
Now, there's a great relationship between these two as well. As we mentioned, Windham is out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, but of course the Yamaha test track is in California. Now, these two bought a house together. They live together and train together, and obviously when it comes time to work on Saturday nights, they also win together.
Well, this is a pretty bonding experience. Anybody that rides around the track with somebody like that, they're both smiling, they're both happy. They did this thing together, and it's got to feel good. And you can expect this kid's going to be a real threat in the future. And when he moves into the 250 class, look out McGrath.
It is Kevin Windham's 6th win of the year, and don't forget he went 3-1 on the 4 East-West Division matchups this year. I don't know who's happier right there, Ali or Kevin. Well, our good friend Marty Reed is making his way over to the Dusty Victory podium right now, and he'll be talking with Kevin Windham about this tremendous victory when we come back. Welcome back to Mile High Stadium as we see James Dobb, number 19, the only rider with a chance at the title, case it hard, put his chin down on the bars. Meanwhile, number 38, Kevin Windham, was blitzing to his 6th victory of the year, and the checkered flag capping off a tremendous 125 West Division championship for Kevin Windham. Let's go down to Marty Reed.
I'll tell you what, here's the happy team. Ali Seymour on the far side and the champion Kevin Windham. First off, congratulations. How's it feel?
Oh, man, this is great. This is the dream. You know, this is what everybody worked for, and, man, it's just unbelievable to finally accomplish it.
I got to ask you, how bad was the wind? It was blowing us all over the place, and we're on the ground.
Yeah, getting on the hot lap and stuff, I kind of felt it out. The wind was really starting to swoop through here and through the triples and stuff. It kind of, you had to watch yourself. It'd blow you around.
So you still did a heel clicker at the end?
Yeah, I wanted to do it for over the triples, but I had some lappers in front of me, and, man, I'm just so excited. I wanted to do it everywhere I could. You know, I wanted to get the crowd into it. But, yeah, luckily I was able to do it over the finish line.
Allie, the guys upstairs, we're talking about how you guys bought a house together, have been working together. What do you think right now? How's it feel?
I'm just the happiest guy in the world right now. He does a good job. He's a hard worker, and it pays off. I can't ask for anything better.
Well, I'll tell you what, guys, I get the honor. Look at this. There it is, 1996 champion. It's all yours, guys. Hold on to it. It's a great feeling. It's got to be wonderful. Congratulations.
Thanks a lot.
There he is, your 1996 125 Western Division champion, Kevin Windham.
Not to mention the paycheck, David Bailey.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll be nice. I'm not sure what it is. That's kind of confidential within the teams, but back when I was racing with Honda, it was a $100,000 bonus to win a title. I think a 125 division may be a little less, but this is 1996. I raced in 1986, so maybe it's gone up some.
So Kevin Windham joining Mikel Pichon, the Eastern 125 winner, as our third titleist of the season. Of course, Jeremy McGrath already getting the #1 plate for the 250s. Windham with 170 points on the 125 season. Ashkenazi adding to his point total as well as we take a look at the Suzuki point standings. But the celebration continues and will continue throughout the evening, I'm sure, for Kevin Windham as he celebrates his 125 crown. Can Jeremy McGrath win 14 out of 15 on the year? Back with the big Supercross machines. The 250s are coming up next. Art Ekman, David Bailey, and Marty Reed back at Mile High Stadium at Denver, Colorado, as the 250 bikes now taking a parade lap to check out the lap after that gust of wind during the 125 main event. The wind was so strong up here, it took my binoculars right off the table. But we found out quite a few things about the 125 main event that might have some bearing on this one coming up.
Well, I thought what was interesting was that Casey Johnson got the hole shot from the far inside gate. Now, I mean, it's a little shorter distance, but you got to make a really sharp corner, and kind of gave Windham an elbow and ended up with the hole shot. So that was kind of interesting. Also, a lot of block passing for the lead between Johnson and Windham, and we can see some of that in 250 class. And what happens when you get that block passing going, it slows down the pace. Everyone stays close. But if Emmett gets Jeremy gets the hole shot, rather, he's a lot faster than everybody else out there.
Okay, let's go to Marty Reed for the Dunlop Track Fact.
Well, guys, there are several stadiums that we go to where we're not allowed to run on the football field. This is one of them, but unlike some of the others, there's got a unique characteristic to Mile High. Take a look at the 12 sections of grandstand behind us here. They are actually not in their normal position. They're 200 feet off of the football playing surface. Now, how they do it? Well, a very high pressurized water system that lifts that entire grandstand section a total of 1/4 of an inch. Then a hydraulic pulley system over the course of 2 hours moves the grandstand back and forth for 200 feet. In fact, that's what we're standing on right now. The grandstand normally is right where we're at. Oh, by the way, guys, one last note. If the pulley system breaks, the three of us got to help push.
We'll let the wind do it here tonight, that's for sure, as we take a look at our Suzuki field summary, the starting grid. Jeremy McGrath, of course, and Jeff Emig on the point standings. And there you see McGrath, Emig second. Hughes is out with an injury. Lusk, Morocco, Bradshaw, Lawrence. They still have a good battle position going to move up through the ranks.
Well, Bradshaw's out now with an ankle, so that moves Phil Lawrence up the ladder 1 spot for sure. The way he rode in the heat race, he might be able to pick up a couple of more spots. But, you know, interesting, in the heat races, I mentioned that McGrath's a lot faster than everybody. His heat race elapsed time was 7 seconds faster than Emig's. In an 8-lap race, that's about a second a lap. So if he gets a hole shot, it could be all over.
The light brown eyes of Jeremy McGrath as he peers over his shoulder. Skip Norfolk is mechanic. And the fireworks go off. Was this planned? It must be.
Well, you got number 1 and 2 right next to each other. There could be some more fireworks in this main event. I don't know about you.
Well, with the narrow track and with more power the 250s have over the 125s, do you suspect there'll be a lot more bar banging?
I think so. There's a lot of guys that want to win this last race of the season, finish off the season good. Of course, Jeremy would like to cap it off with win number 14. That may never be broken, even by himself. So it's going to be good. The start's really going to tell the story, though.
Focused.
I don't know how he could be focused with all the blasting bombs going off.
I was just thinking the same thing. Jeremy telling Jeremy Albright, rather.
In the beginning, not to worry about it. Good luck, my man. Be number 2.
We need number 2. Win number 2, that is.
Hey! Emmig's right beside you. You know where you got to be when this big drops, okay? Emmig, Russ, Phil, and then Henry, all the way down. 20 laps. St. Louis was a fluke. Let them know it, all right? These guys came here to see you win, and that's it. 20 laps to you, pal.
Sounds like a corner man, doesn't he?
It really is. Well, that's what he is.
Yeah.
And they make such a great combination because he can read Jeremy so well.
Jeremy's got all those little iron-on things in the back of his jersey, one for each win. On the back of his pants all time.
32nd board is up. Jeremy still taping that knee, still a little twinge in it, but he looked great in the qualifying round, and we're just about set for tonight's main event, the final main event of the Supercross season. Just about set to get underway. Jeremy shaking out those arms.
Doug Henry right there in the closest to you on your screen, all the way on the inside. That's where the whole shot came in the 125 class. And Henry's been getting good starts. If he gets a jump out of there, he's going to push everybody wide.
Okay, the gate could drop now in between 5 to 10 seconds. The riders are ready. They're revving up their machines, and they're off. Jeremy McGrath, whole shot.
Jimmy Button down in the first corner. He's going to have to come from last now.
Swink of Honda of Troy's in second place as they round the second turn. Ezra Lusk in a great position. Doug Henry in fourth. Emmig is in fifth behind Henry. And then a pack of riders including Stevenson, Lawrence, LaRocco, and Ward.
So in that rhythm section, Lusk inherits second place. Emmig's right in there, but he's got to get around those two guys if he wants a shot at Jeremy.
McGrath already with a 3-second lead on Ezra Lusk. Brian Swink, Jeff Emmig, and Doug Henry, and LaRocco has moved up. Skip Norfolk with goggles on down in the Dusty Mechanics area.
These guys are prepared. They're ready for anything.
Here comes Swink making a move on Ezra Lusk in second place. Number 23, Brian Swink. Came off a fine outdoor performance at Glen Helen, but Ezra holds him off.
Look at the lead McGrath has already in the first lap. This guy's just amazing. I mean, there's really not been anything to hold up Ezra Lusk. He hasn't had anybody blocking him, and already he's about 4 seconds down now, as best I can tell.
Ezra's going to play it smart, though. He still has a shot at third in the series. And that is miraculous, considering his start on the season. A 16th, a 10th, and a 15th.
All he's got to do is finish ahead of LaRocco, I think, Art, and he's going to pick up third in the series. So,
or a 10th place position to get enough points.
It's looking good right now. I don't even see where LaRocco is yet. Emmig just gets through that end zone whoop section. He's not really making any time on these guys yet.
That might be an interesting Team Suzuki battle coming down toward the end of the race. Ezra Lusk in second place, number 34, Brian Swink in third. Here's Jeremy McGrath way out in front already. He got the shot that Skip Norfolk asked him to get. That was the whole shot.
Doug Henry now just behind Emmig, starting to come on strong.
McGrath with a 5-second lead over the yellow bike, number 34, Ezra Lusk. And Ezra starting to pull a little bit on Brian Swink. McGrath, Lusk, Swink, Emmig, Henry, your order in the top 5 in the Suzuki Field Summary.
Now that Lusk has got that little bit of breathing room, he's going to go after Jeremy. That's all he cares about. He wants to win the last race of the season. If he can't, it gets towards about 3/4 of the way through the race, then he'll start thinking about the points in the championship and preserve that. Right now, he's going for it.
In the last 7 events, Ezra has 2 third-place finishes, 3 fourth-place finishes, a 6th and a 7th. And that's allowed him to move up the point standings.
Wind really starting to gust right now. Somebody blew a hay bale out, so it's hard to find that berm you want to ride through with all that hay in the way. Jeremy's starting to inch away a little bit each lap. Just got that excellent throttle control and this hard slick stuff.
The Swinkster in third. Brian Swink had the flu all week last week at Glen Helen, but he showed at the end of the first moto when he tired, but still made the podium. And he came back to the gate shaking for the second moto. But his flu situation has now cleared up. He's in third place as he goes over the finish line jump.
Looks really good. He's getting over that little double into the whoops. Actually, when they land off that double, they bounce into the whoops. They don't even touch the first couple. Nice rhythm. So it'd be a good finish for Brian if he can stay here, and it looks like he can. Look at what he's jumping there. He's doing something a little different than everybody else. I only saw Jeremy do that in practice. He's making up a lot of time on Lusk. If he's close enough the next lap, he'll pass him there.
He's got a 5-second lead on Emig. As we look at the battle behind Emig, Henry and Larry Ward.
You see Henry when he does that triple jump, his feet come completely up off the pegs. A lot of guys do that. They come completely loose from the motorcycle. And, to the amateurs, you're like, whoa, what happened there? But these guys ride so relaxed, they can afford to get away with stuff like that.
Well, Henry truly improved. He got back on the Supercross circuit in the Atlanta race. That was the first race he was able to participate in coming off the injured list. And here comes Larry Ward on the outside. Ward just not quite the momentum to get through there to get the break at the corner.
Well, at the moment, it looks like Larry's a little quicker. And look, does that jump. He jumped from that plateau all the way over the other jump into the corner. I think he might come out ahead in this exchange. No, not quite.
Oh, that's interesting strategy, taking the inside or the outside. Do you have enough momentum to get by the inside rider?
Right now, Lawrence isn't close enough to him, so he can afford to take a little chance. I hope it pays off. If Henry was to make a little mistake, he would make the pass.
McGrath is your leader. 6 seconds on Ezra Lusk. As Swingster starts to appear to close in. We've got the battle, though, behind Emig. Larry Ward makes the pass, and let's go down to Marty Reed.
Well, we're down here with Pete Steinbrecher. Your man just got passed for position, but he's riding pretty strong.
Yeah, he's just trying to do his best till he gets stronger, and Doug seems to be doing that every race.
As far as his physical condition, where would you put him as far as where he's at?
Doug's at about a top 10 rider, and if he can finish in the under the top 10, that's quite an achievement.
Hey, I'll tell you what, guys, take a look at these goggles. You like the attire? It's the only thing that keeps the dust from blinding you. It's really getting wicked down here.
We're feeling it a little bit up here, too. Doug Henry, number 15, has felt that he reached a plateau. He had higher expectations, and down. That certainly wasn't in the book, and it's right in front of the mechanics area, his own mechanic, helping him there.
Just got offline coming through that whoop section. We saw that happen a little earlier. If you lean in there, because you're kind of making a left as you exit the whoops to that finish line jump, you start leaning in, that back end slides wide, and you aim right up to the left. Right here, he'd already crashed through the hay bales into the mechanics there, almost ran over his mechanic, Pete. Those guys were lucky to that he fell into the hay bales there. We got a little protection from him.
And here's our leader, Jeremy McGrath.
No problems through the whoop section. Nice timing. Gasses it off the back side of that finish line jump, over the double, floating through the whoops. The guy's perfect. You know, I could follow him around for an hour and try to find a mistake, and he just won't.
Emig was able to beat him in St. Louis, but if he comes back here,
that's yeah, he'll prove to what Skip was saying, that was just a fluke. I don't know if Emig likes that. I got to hand it to Emig. He rode strong, but
and I got to hand it to LaRocco too. It was almost a team effort. Way out in front, Jeremy McGrath in our final Supercross of the year from Denver, Colorado, and we'll be back in a moment. Welcome back to Denver. Jeremy McGrath, our leader. Ezra Lusk in second. Swink, Emig, and Ward. And that's where the battles are really taking place right now.
Well, Larry Ward, it seemed like there for a bit was starting to make some time on Emig, but Emig's starting to pull away again. Larry Ward's actually getting a little pressure from Phil Lawrence. Lawrence is still there hounding him. Emig is, man, I'll bet you he wanted to win this race. He looked so good in the heat race, coming out of St. Louis, wanting to prove, no, that was not a fluke. I deserved it. And I didn't get the start he wanted. If he'd have gotten the whole shot, things would be a little different, but he didn't, so.
LaRocco in 10th position, so Ezra Lusk has a very good chance of moving up that ladder to third in the points.
Whoa, and you just saw Emig there. The same thing that's been happening to a lot of guys. That's what happened to Doug Henry. But fortunately for Emig, he was a little closer to the end of that section, was able to hang on to it. There's Larry Ward. Close enough. There's Lawrence, too. Larry Ward looking over there. Oh, man, you're still there? Get away from me.
Lawrence having to avoid a plastic wrapper that smacked up into his face there. As you see all kinds of debris flying through the air on this wind-stricken track here at Mile High Stadium. Larry Ward, and Phil Lawrence, number 13. Phil Lawrence is a good story, David Bailey.
Well, I'm really impressed. He started off the season so strong with a 2nd place in Orlando.
Then a 6th place, the next one in Minnesota.
And he looked good for a while. Then he kind of dropped off the pace for a little bit. Had some bad luck, went down and got involved with some tangle-ups in the first lap, having to come from behind. But he's finishing off the season strong again. I got to wonder what would happen if he was on a factory bike, because the one he's riding is it's good. I don't want to say that he's not riding anything that's good, but the Great Western team has done a fine job to give him a good bike and put him in contention to maybe even get 3rd in the series, but still not up to par with what Emig and everybody else has got.
Well, it's no secret he doesn't have those graphite factory parts and those special parts.
Makes a big difference.
Let's get down to Larry. Let's get down to Marty.
Hey, your man's in a real battle out there.
Yeah, he's on the gas right now. Hopefully he can keep focused on Emig and keep on going forward. There's a couple places where he's starting to slow down a little bit, but hopefully we'll be able to pick it back up and end up getting Emig.
If he pulls this off, he'll never shave again.
Albertine, a hole in the radiator. More bad luck for the Team Suzuki rider, Greg Albertine.
Yeah, I don't know.
Rejoin the action here. Larry Ward, you see, number 6. Here's our leader, Jeremy McGrath, as Ward was in the far part of the picture as McGrath just breezes along.
McGrath is, we're on a different side of the stadium as Larry Ward right now. Just a huge lead. Look back behind him. He can't see anybody. Lusk is, he's not losing a lot of time, but a second a lap adds up quick when you're 7-8 laps into the race.
You know, you'd think Jeremy McGrath coming into this race, David Bailey, with a 127-point lead on Emig, you'd think winning this many races in one season, it would be the largest margin of victory in the history of Supercross, but it actually isn't. 1975.
Yeah, Jim Ellis in the Supercross series on the 250. They had a 500 class back then. As we take a look at the Honda stopwatch, beat Marty Smith, who was a Team Honda rider, by 202 points. The point schedule, yeah, it was a little different back then, and Jim Ellis's dad now drives the Kawasaki rig.
Oh, Honda of Troy rider went into the hay bale. Brian Swank, number 23.
Well, there goes a podium finish.
He was in 3rd at the time, and he went flying into the hay bale. Over the finish line jumped Jeremy McGrath as he takes on the little surfer's bump. Into the whoops he goes, unmolested for 1st.
The section I was talking about a little earlier where Swink was making up all that time, jumping over the plateau and the next jump, that was the section. It's actually this section right here. Jeremy just did it right there. You see he jumps all the way over the plateau. 48-second lap time for Jeremy, quite a bit faster than the 125s.
Jimmy Button just left the race with a clutch lever broken.
That section, though, these guys are just getting ready to enter it as well. Watch Larry Ward.
Good back-and-forth battle between Lawrence and Ward. Lawrence on the number 13 bike, Ward number 6.
That's where Swink went off the racetrack. He couldn't make the corner, went out into the starting line, so he lost a lot of time. Good ride for Lawrence. He worked on Larry Ward. Ward had his eyes on Emig. Now he's got his eyes on the back end of Lawrence instead.
Jeremy McGrath, Lusk in 2nd place. Emig now moves into 3rd.
Art, it looks to me like the pace that Lawrence has got going right now, he might be able to catch Jeff Emig. He's not that far up the racetrack. He got a good look at him in the heat race, and he stayed close the whole time. There's McGrath's dad and sister, Tracy.
Boy, talk about focus. They've got more focus, I think, than Jeremy right now as Jeremy flies over that triple.
Well, Jeremy makes it. He knows what's going on. You know, when you're driving with somebody that's driving fast, you're sitting in the passenger side going, slow down. Like when you're at the wheel, you got it under control. Jeremy knows what he's doing.
Swank has left the track for the pits with a damaged machine. Jack McGrath, the fist in the air. Go for it, my boy.
He's got to be proud. I mean, seeing his son race bicycles, and then I remember Jeremy when he was 3-digit number riding, I think, Pro Circuit for a while, and everyone hooting and hollering up in the press box for Jeremy, and I was like, who is this Jeremy McGrath guy? Next thing I know, he's winning everything in the 125 class. The same year that Damon Bradshaw won 9 races in 250, Jeremy was whipping up on the 125 guys.
McGrath realizes it's been the greatest season ever for a rider in Supercross, and he's not going to let a loss in St. Louis take away his focus, that's for sure.
Actually, a little bit shorter, maybe a little bit narrow than what we're used to. So I think that's just going to put more emphasis on the start. You know, you're going to have to get a good start, get a whole shot, and try and lead the thing from the beginning, because I think getting by riders is going to be tough. Yeah, a lot of bar banging out there for sure.
Now, getting by the riders is no problem in this race at all, as that bite was intended to be earlier in the race, I'm sure, because he got the whole shot. He got a big lead in the first lap, and he is cruising right now as Skip Norfolk, his mechanic, looks on. Here's Ezra Lusk. Ezra currently in second place, and this could be one of his finest finishes in Supercross history for this young man, and he needs it. His contract is up.
Well, this is good leverage for him coming off the season, winding up in third place in the series. His best finish in the 250 at the end of the season. He's got to be happy.
2 laps left in the race. Lee Collum, Ezra Lusk, temporary mechanic, and he's done a whale of a job substituting for Ed Longacre. As we take a look at the Suzuki field summary, McGrath way out in front, Lusk, Emig in third, but Lawrence might have a chance maybe with 2 laps. He is about 3 seconds in back of Jeff Emig, if something should happen to Emig.
You can see him back there just entering that straightaway Lusk just finished on. McGrath starting to light up the crowd, flashes going off. Lee Collum, he's trying to count off the seconds, tell him how much of a lead he's got on Emig. I think he might be concerned Emig's coming strong, because he is. There you see Emig just coming into your screen.
Here's Jeremy McGrath. It's a white flag lap. One more lap for Jeremy McGrath to win every race in the Supercross season but one.
I wish he could take that one over again. Emig with didn't get the start, but I don't think that he's riding quite the same in this main event as he did in St. Louis. I think he realized after about 3 or 4 laps into this race there was no way in the world he was going to catch Jeremy. Jeremy was gone. So he's just keeping it on 2 wheels and thinking about the outdoors. Jeremy's throwing it sideways. Here comes another triple.
And the neck.
Wow, what a great shot.
And the crowd is going crazy.
That really shows you from underneath like that how far off the side of the bike he can get. It's amazing.
The checkers. And for Jeremy McGrath, his 43rd career victory. And Ezra Lusk, what a great effort, holding off Emig for second place.
14 wins in a season out of 15 for McGrath. Pretty amazing.
Jeremy McGrath, his 14th win in 15 races. We'll be back with his words of wisdom. Marty Reed will be making his way over to the victory podium, and we will return. Jeremy McGrath, he hardly looks winded. Little perspiration on his brow. Checking things out as his victorious mechanic Skip Norfolk next to him. Winning 14 of 15 races this year, capping his 4th consecutive Supercross title earlier in the season. Checking out the top 5 here in Denver in the final round, our 15th round of the year. Jeremy McGrath, Ezra Lusk, a very important race for Ezra Lusk. Emig almost got him there at the end in 3rd. Let's go down to Marty Reed.
Yeah, very happy, Ezra Lusk. Congratulations, a great run, and that clinches 3rd place in the final standings for the year.
Yeah, I don't think that's too bad for finishing lap 14th, 15th, 16th, and a DNF at the beginning of the year. It's really good. I feel great. I want to thank everybody that supported me when I was down last year. You know, everybody back home, my parents for sticking behind me, my girlfriend back home for sticking behind me, and just everyone. Good Lord Jesus Christ for keeping me safe. AXO for staying with me. I just got to thank all these people, you know, Suzuki, they did it for me, and if it wasn't for them, then last year, you know, I'd be done. But all those guys, they just stuck behind me, and you know, it takes a real good person to push someone like that, and they did it, and I just can't thank them enough.
Well, congratulations and a great ride. We're going to swing on over here. We've got both 1st and 3rd place as well. They're trading notes already on how the race went. What a start, what a finish. 14 out of 15, probably a record that, well, can you even break it?
Well, there's only you can't find out till next year, I guess. I'd like to think I can beat it, but man, I gotta be the luckiest guy in the world. You know, Honda gives me 100% effort, and my family, my friends, and especially my mechanic Skip Norfolk, and you know, it's just great to have a crew like we got. You know, every week we come out 100% in full force, and if I do my job, then most likely I'll be up here.
What was the secret tonight? I mean, you came firing off the line, and you just stretched the lead all night long.
Well, you know, I mean, as the season rolled on, you know, from all the wins, and the pressure built up. You know, it's not something I can feel until I end up losing the race, but tonight was just like the first race of a new series, and I felt excellent. So relaxed out there, and everything was perfect.
Well, it's nice to know that you're human. Congratulations. This was a great year. Thanks for taking us along for the ride.
Hey, thanks a lot, man. I'd like to thank all the fans out there for sticking with us, you know, and especially Pace Motorsports, and all you guys for sticking with us.
Well, there he is, Jeremy McGrath, your champion again, 4 times in a row. And let's swing over to the man who's going to finish second in the points, third tonight in the race, Jeff Emig. I guess the black didn't quite do as much what you wanted it to.
Well, no, you know, but they did a great job, you know, with Kawasaki motorcycles, Bridgestone tires. You know, they gave me an opportunity, you know, to win a Supercross this year, and I won one, you know, and I upped my series standings, you know, by 1 point. I'm up to a second this year, and you know, I guess, you know, like if you got to be behind Jeremy right now, you know, a second would definitely be the best place to be. But, well, hopefully I'll be back, you know, with the Kawasaki team for next year, and then, you know, maybe it can be my championship.
Did you ever feel like, golly, if that guy would just retire, all this attention would be on Jeff Emig and maybe a few other guys, but you might be there, right?
Well, you know, I know a lot of people say that, you know, but there's a whole lot of other guys out there, you know, they're real fast also, you know, but I just soon be here, you know, and I just soon, you know, come back in next year's Supercross series, you know, and just would take it from him, you know, fair and square. So.
Well, I'll tell you what, we'll be here because we're going to be out to watch it. I got to tell you, finishing second to Jeremy McGrath is nothing to be ashamed of, guys.
Absolutely, that's for sure. We'd also like to thank the AMA for the great support they've lent us all season long. Getting together with the promoters Pace and SRO was one of the best things that's happened to this sport, and certainly led to a great points fund and a tremendous season. All the sponsors for our television and the promoters who banded together all season long. There's been a lot of encouraging signs, David, that have made this 1996 year a banner year in Supercross. I think one of them that sometimes we overlook was the number of independent teams that we saw bringing more opportunities to the young riders to compete in Supercross.
That's right, that second tier level, the factory teams, the independent teams, the Team Extreme, also the Honda of Troy, all these guys showing up with the big semis, painted up nice, the Great Western team, which Phil Lawrence, the privateer, second place at a couple of events, and yeah, it was very encouraging, and a lot of money at stake, $100,000 points fund, and that's going to be divvied up during the postseason barbecue, and those guys will be down there collecting checks.
It led to unprecedented success at the gates and television ratings as well. We'd love to thank you fans, and we'll do that a little bit later too in better style, as we've got Skip Norfolk on the phone with Marty downstairs.
Hello? Yeah, we've got a connection. Hey, we got to talk to you. I mean, after all, you're the man that made all these wrenches turn, and this thing's putting out some nice heat right now. It got cold out here, that wind whipping up. Congratulations on a great year, Skip.
Well, thanks. You know, I can't say I've done it all without myself. I mean, there's guys back at Honda that put in just as much effort into this motorcycle as I do and Jeremy does. Tom Job, machinist back at Honda, and that guy's incredible. He can weld Jello. I mean, he's that good. He'll do anything, he'll make anything. Between him and Cliff White and Brad, our parts guy, I mean, it's a solid team effort. I mean, if it wasn't for the guys back in the shop doing their job, I couldn't do my job, and Jeremy couldn't do his job. It's a big team effort.
You think you can duplicate this? I mean, is there pressure to go that one step further and get all of them?
Well, I gave him a big hug after St. Louis and said, hey, next year can be better. And, you know, you got to look forward and try to go better than you've done in the past. But, boy, I tell you, this season's going to be pretty dang hard to beat. I don't know if it's possible. I think that's one guy that has the ability to make it better than this year, but man, I don't know.
You know, the staggering statistic, guys, on this, he has now won, with this guy's help and everybody on the team, 72% of his Supercross starts. That's phenomenal.
The celebration continues with Jeremy McGrath and Emig and Ezra Lusk down below us. The sport certainly does have now a nationally renowned hero, and that took it to a new level, of course. I think also, too, the 2-hour live-to-tape coverage on ESPN2. As we travel the country over, the fans coming up and saying thanks to us, we'd like to thank the fans for their smiles, their comments of encouragement, their feedback, of course, their ratings, and their griping to the cable company. companies to make sure to get ESPN too.
Oh, it's a pleasure to bring it all to you. The camera work has been phenomenal, and it's just been an incredible season to watch it unfold. To see Jeremy winning 14 races out of 15, that's amazing. I never would have thought that at the beginning of the season. You know, some of the privateers sneaking up in there, Ryan Hughes and Damon Huffman, the rookies moving into the 250 class, unfortunately out with injuries now, but you can see that in the future they're going to be very tough. Next year promises to be a very exciting year, tougher for Jeremy, I think.
Okay, before we take a look at the final point standings, the unofficial standings, let's get up back to Marty Reed now.
Well, guys, I got to tell you, down here with two very happy mechanics. They share the pride tonight of Ezra Lusk getting into third place in the final standings. The second place one, Lee Collum on my left, and Ed Longacre. You weren't supposed to be down here tonight. I saw you running around giving signals and everything. He broke his right hand. He hasn't learned how to carry a tool chest yet.
No, I hurt myself at Hangtown National a couple of weeks ago. I've been lucky enough to have two good mechanics, Tony Berluti, Lee McCollum, filling in for Ezra while I'm on the mend. And he's just doing the rest. All I can say is I'm really happy tonight. We had a game plan. We went out there, and he gave me more than I could ever ask for tonight.
I'll tell you what, it's fun to see guys succeed. You got to feel good. I mean, you stepped in, you got the guy to second place.
Yeah, I feel real good about it. Turned out really good. We came here with, like Ed said, with a plan, and everything went just like we wanted, and it worked out great. You know, I'm just, like Ed said, I'm just filling in, so everything went fine and turned out great.
Congratulations, guys. Back up to you, Art.
Okay, thank you, Marty. And David Bailey, there's one man that has to have a smile on his face, and that, of course, is Roger DeCoster. The Team Suzuki has made such strides. There is the trophy for Denver's first place as Supercross returning to Denver for the first time in many, many, many years. First time at Mile High Stadium. Wes McCoy, the team manager there, of course, taking great pride. He's the one closest to our camera. And, of course, he's got to be more than smiling, because sure. Jeremy McGrath, phenomenal performance with pressure on him all the way.
Right, and Honda, they have a way of attracting riders that sort of fill the shoes and take out, you know, pick up where the Jean-Michel Bales and the Jeff Stantons leave off. They're just really fortunate to have Jeremy McGrath there, and also fortunate to have a guy in the fabrication department that can weld Jello, as Skip Norfolk said. I think that's funny. They can do pretty much everything. It's a great package.
Let's take a look, first of all, briefly at the unofficial point standings. McGrath with 127-point spread on Amig in second place. Lusk moving up to third. But also Hughes and Lawrence, I have tied for fourth in the points. What a performance by Phil Lawrence to move into that spot as an independent team rider. Let's go back to Marty.
You know, guys, before we close out of here tonight, it's amazing the privileges that we get to share when you know that you're going to be part of history. What a year to be part of Supercross. Thanks for taking me along for the ride, because it has been fun to watch Jeremy McGrath set history that we may never, ever see again. And to be able to be a part of it, well, all I can say is thanks again.
Wouldn't it be a shock if next year he went 15 out of 15?
Yeah, that would be a shock. That would be an incredible shock.
With the young talent coming up, of course. And let's have a brief impression of Kevin Windham, because Kevin Windham really showed us some great stuff this year as a youngster.
No doubt he's going to be a Jeremy McGrath of the future. Just wonder how long he's going to stay in the 125 class. Once he moves into 250, he'll be a threat, but I think he might run that #1 plate next year.
#1, though, once again for the 4th consecutive year. Can he make it 5 in a row? Well, you're going to have to join us next year for those results. Art Ekman, David Bailey, Marty Reed, thank you for being with us tonight.